boy.
I'm back. Your girl is back. I said I'm back. Let me stop, y'all. But I'm back. So something that I wanted to talk about today is just my journey as a whole, as how I decided to get saved. Let me get real comfortable. Sorry, y'all, I gotta get real comfortable because this might take a while. So grab a drink, grab a snack. Yeah, grab a drink, grab a snack. Like this is a story time. Let's just title this story time, how I got saved. And let's see. This is gonna be several parts, I think, because I may have to cut it up because it's gonna be long, but I just want to get it all out there and not give it to you guys in bits and pieces. So first and foremost, I wouldn't say that I grew up in a church. I mean, I've gone to church when I was younger. My mother used to take us to church. I never really paid attention. She went to a Haitian church. I used to go to church and just go to the corner store, buy snacks, eat snacks in service, fall asleep, wake up, go home. It was one of those things. So I never really got into the word. My neighbor, fortunate enough, gave me my first Bible. I used to go to youth night on Wednesdays and things like that. But it was never where I really got into the word. I've had experiences with God, never got into the word. Fast forward to my adulthood, I began going to this church. I was dating this guy, and we would go to church together. And so I went to this church for several years and still never really getting into the word. I'm still living my life. Still not really reading the Bible on my own, just like everybody else. You get the little scriptures, the daily motivational scriptures, and I'll read those and I'm like, okay, take off. I would still pray. I always had a prayer relationship with God. I've had supernatural experiences happen to me. So I do believe in God, but never where, to be honest with you, where I understood the word of God or I actually studied the word of God or I followed any of God's teaching. So fast forward, I'm at this church and I've went there for several years. But one of the many things that I think that transitioned within that period of time is, for some reason, at some point, I had this desire where I wanted to grow, right? I'm like, okay, well, then you can't tell me you religiously, like I'm telling you guys religiously, I'm going to church every Sunday, but yet I felt like I wasn't being changed, right? I didn't see a change, a shift in who I was. I was still living the worldly life. I was still going to clubs. I was still fornicating, lying, you name it. I mean, I didn't do drugs or anything, but I drank. I would still drink. And so I just wasn't pleased. It was something in me just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. So at some point where I stopped going to church. And it was a slow transition. I wouldn't say I just woke up one day and be like, oh, that's it, I'm not going to church. And I didn't stop going because I didn't believe in God anymore. I stopped going because there was no growth and I just wanted more. And I don't think the church that I was going to would ever provide that to me. So I remember it was a point where all of my friends, we all ended up going to the same church. We go to the church, and one of my good friends, hey Shirley, you're probably watching this. We were just driving one day. She was like, you don't come to church anymore. What's going on? And I was just like, well, I just feel like I'm not being. I need more growth, and the church that we're going to right now is just not providing it to me. She was like, yeah, I get it, but I wouldn't say stop. So what I said was, I told her, I'm not being. I don't feel like there's any growth happening in me with going to this church. I've been praying about it. I'm thinking I'm looking for another church, and at this time I'm living like 45 minutes away from the church, so I wasn't motivated enough to get up every day and actually drive to the church and actually go to the church. So I just didn't go. It was like just too much work for me. So I eventually, she was like, you should, I definitely pray about it, but in the time being, you still want to go. Still continue to go to that church until you find another church. I'm like, yeah, I'll go. In the midst of that, I would still watch, pastors on YouTube. I would still listen to a lot of sermons. Whatever I was going through, I would just find a sermon to kind of help motivate me to get through that time in my life. So I remember one day I was at work and I got I am from one of my friends. I think I was at work. Yeah, I think I was at work at the time. I got an I am from one of my old high school friends. And it was just like, hey, how are you? I don't know if you remember me. And I'm like, of course I remember you. I mean, it has been like about 10 years, just about 9.5, 10 years since I've seen that person, like physically seen the person. So I'm just like, yeah, what's going on? He was just like, hey, you know, I just wanted to invite you to my church. And I'm like, okay, cool. I kind of was like, cool, hey, what's the information for the church? I'll check it out one day. And this might have been like in August or so, August of 2016, when my friend invited me to the church. So I looked that up. I looked up the pastor, and I was just like, okay, I'll check it out one day. So you know, that was it. We kind of exchanged the information for the church, and I was like, all right, I'll check it out. I was like, all right, cool. This person, I kid you not, never, ever, ever, ever reached back out to me. Never said, hey, how's it going? You haven't showed up to the church. We're having an event at church. Do you want to stop by? Hey, don't forget I invited you. Nothing. And I honestly, wholeheartedly, I forgot that I even got the invite to the church. It's almost one of those things, you know, people are like, hey, you know, check out my church. And I'm like, yeah, I got you. But you never go. So I never even remembered about this church. Fast forward, this is like almost a year later, I'm dating this guy. And first of all, scratch that. I wasn't dating anyone prior to dating this guy. I remember the guy kept trying to pursue me, and I have these two coworkers that I talked to, it's a guy and a girl, way older than me. And I would just tell them, hey, you know, this such and such trying to talk to me, I'm not with it, whatever. And there's a lot of things that turn me off about guys, and one of the many things is like dudes that are flashy, dudes that wear a lot of jewelry, dudes that are into labels, dudes that think money rule the world. Like, those things are like, I'm so unattracted to those things, and that was everything about that guy. But then my coworkers, over a month or two time, kind of talked me into it, you know, talk to him, date him, or whatever, give him a chance. So I decided to give him a chance. In my heart, I didn't want to. Like, God told me no. So I decided, so I was dating this guy, and I always had trust issues. I've been through a lot when it comes to relationships. I have dated a serial cheater before, a habitual liar before, and for years. And it took me a while to get out of that, to forgive myself for allowing myself to go through that, and to forgive the person. So going back into that wasn't something that I was trying to do. So there were so many traits of that in the person that I was dating. So we had some struggles in between that. But I remember the last issue that we had was this person was like, hey, I'm stressed out. I'm about to tell you all my business. But it's okay, because I am saved now. And you know what? I think it'll just help somebody. So I was dating the guy, whatever, and he was just one day like, hey, you know, I'm going on a 7-day cruise, or it was like a 5-day cruise, I believe. He's like, he's very stressed out and he needs time to himself. I'm like, I don't know who goes in on a cruise by themselves, but I'm not trying to have these little trust issues that I had. So I'm like, okay, cool, you know, enjoy, whatever. Didn't get much information about where he was going. It was just like, oh, I'm going to some island. I'm like, all right, cool, or whatever. He's like, you know, we're going to text, communicate, or whatever. He's like, he'll still have his phone. I'm like, okay, cool. So the guy goes on this cruise, and mind you, first day, I don't hear from the guy at all. Barely hear from him. Day 2, rarely hear from him again. I think day 3, he sends me a picture of himself. And I'm just like, oh, nice. You know, who took those pictures? He was like, oh, I met some people on the boat. They took the pictures. I'm not stupid. Once you date a serial cheater, believe me, what men don't realize, you just need one experience with a serial cheater, and believe me, you would never, ever get played again in your life. Because the trials and things that I've been through. So, he was like, oh, it's just me. He met people, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, okay, whatever. Still not believing that you're on this cruise by yourself. All the days pass by. You know, I get 1 or 2 pictures. I followed the person on Facebook. He never really posted anything on Facebook about being on the trip. So I'm like, all right, whatever, cool. Person comes back. At this point, I have a whole attitude because I didn't hear from him, and he's just not showing up. And it's like, where you been? Like, sir, hello. It's been 5 days. On a cruise by yourself? Okay, what you stressed out about? Because, boo, I'm stressed. I'm trying to go somewhere for 5 days too. What's up? That's how I was feeling. So I had a whole attitude, and then he was calling me. He's like, oh, can you come pick me up from the port? I had a whole attitude, but I'm just like, okay, whatever, Woodlene, just go. So I go and I pick him up from the port. I still had an attitude the whole time. I was just mad. Like, something in me was just mad. So fast forward, I think a week go by, 2 weeks go by. I still in my heart knew something wasn't right, but I was still trying to not show the part of me where I didn't trust him, that I still had those trust issues. So I kind of just put it on, shrugged it under the table when I was trying to go back to just being regular and not showing an attitude. So I still remember the time. It was like 12:23 in the morning. I remember I was laying in the bed. My daughter actually wasn't with me. She was with her father. So I was by myself laying in the bed, and I had ended up going to sleep early that night. So I woke up at 12:23. I had to use the restroom. So I went to use the restroom, and I couldn't go back to sleep right away. So I'm laying there. I pick up my phone, and I start scrolling on my phone.